Hello and welcome to a new episode of Voice of Crypto. This is a podcast where we talk about Web3, metaverse, blockchain, crypto, and everything around it. And today I have Lara with me. Hi, Lara. And while I was talking to you, Lara, before starting this podcast, Lara is involved with multiple projects and she does multiple things. So welcome on the podcast, Lara.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Great. So Lara, why don't you talk about yourself, what you are up to, what you have done, and your journey in Web3 to all our audiences?
Absolutely. So my name is Lara. I'm currently the head of marketing and PR for a company called The Round, which is the first Web3 platform to introduce augmented reality broadcasts, meaning that we do live and as live holographic entertainment. We broadcast it to the world at scale, and that's in a mobile app. And we will definitely integrate AR glasses once they're out. Another project or projects I'm involved in revolve around real estate tokenization and democratizing real estate investments. I've been in this space for around 2 years now, and I've just shifted, my whole career into Web3. It was a very exciting shift despite the market conditions. I'm still very happy and optimistic that I've took this decision to shift my career to Web3. And yeah, that's me.
So what you used to do in your previous life, Lara, in
So
Web2 before Web3
I
was?
love the previous life, because really it was a previous life, because I mean, honestly, life after Web3 is not the same.
I agree. And once the bull market starts, trust me, we'll not get even time to do all these podcasts as well.
I know. So it's good that we're doing it in a bear market now.
Yeah.
But yeah, previously I was involved in bulk manufacturing, e-commerce, and then diversified a bit and moved to TV and media. So the last job I had was in a TV channel, and COVID hit and I got pregnant and the whole crypto, started exploding everywhere. So I was like, okay, I think I need to prioritize, what career path should I take? Should I jump ship? So yes, I jumped ship. And yeah, I think I'd love to say this everywhere I go, that a lot of our skills are very transferable to Web3, and people are always, intimidated by all the tech and tech terms and, the underlying technology of Web3. So they think that they might not have a fit or they cannot shift their career, which is totally untrue, because I mean, with little to no help from anyone, I really educated myself and, landed a job or like several jobs in Web3. So don't be intimidated by the tech guys. If you're not from if you're a non-tech background, there's a lot of places and spaces for you.
Absolutely. So Lara, most of the people, when I talk to them who are in Web3 space, they got into Web3 because of a small accident or whatever. So do you remember that life-changing accident? I would not say accident, that moment when you shifted and decided to plunge into Web3?
Yeah, our Web3 aha moment, as they say. Yes, I actually remember that very well, because my husband, who's very involved in crypto, blockchain, and the Web3 space, was always talking about blockchain and always talking about crypto. And I was like, please, not the B word again and not the C word again. Like, I was very intimidated by it. I didn't understand it. I hated it. I was like, I don't want to talk about it. But then when I started reading more about the scope of Web3 and how crypto is just a vertical, and what Web3 is introducing to this world, and how it's an actual iteration of the internet, it's an evolution of the internet. And with this evolution, a lot of aspects will be evolutionized as well, such as marketing, operations, art, everything. Every aspect is being, revolutionized by Web3. I thought, well, I might, just give it a chance. And, the more I read and the more I understood what the Web3 ecosystem is, what decentralization is, what being a part of a trustless and permissionless ecosystem can bring to this world, I was like, okay, this is where I want to go. It also mirrors my ethos of, democratizing and decentralizing everything and taking the power from, centralized entities and governments and giving it back to the people. So I think that was my aha moment. That what drove me to, take that shift and just, say bye-bye Web2 and hello Web3.
See you never.
Yeah, see you never, exactly.
Awesome. So Lara, you are into the marketing space and you're working with multiple brands. How has your journey been into the marketing space? And do you see any drastic changes? I mean, you spoke about your skill sets are transferable from one category to another, and you spoke about you have been into e-commerce, you have been into retail, you have been into production as well. So are there any major differences between Web2 marketing as well as Web3 as well?
To be honest, Web3 marketing and Web3 marketing strategy is undefined yet. Like, just to lay it out, if anyone tells you that they have the best Web3 marketing strategy, tell them that's bullshit. Excuse my French, but it's because it's an, as you were saying before, like, it's an untapped space. And when I assumed these roles, like, there weren't any clear Web3 marketing strategies out there. And I believe marketers were still trying to figure out what is the best marketing tactics and metrics that align with Web3, and if there are any Web3, Web2 marketing strategies that they can, transfer and utilize in this space. And we also must factor that this hype that happened between 2020 and Q1 2022, the hype itself was a marketing tool for mass adoption. So people were not doing anything. It's just this shift, this paradigm shift. So it was luring people in. And I think when the hype, just subsided, that's when, well-rounded Web3 marketing strategies started to surface. And it's like the utmost importance for any Web3 company to take into consideration what marketing tactics that they should adopt in order to, grow, have a big community, nurture that community, and retain customers in the end. So that's my journey has been very self-discovery, as you would say. I've been reading a lot, researching a lot of what Web3 companies are using in terms of tactics and metrics, and I just put them under one umbrella, one very personalized Web3 marketing strategy that I use in for most brands. It's building, nurturing, and rewarding the community, and it's the user experience. Now, it's very crucial that people understand that consumers or Web3 communities have all the power in their hands. So this shift in power have changed. Marketers used to rely on data that's sold to them in order to understand the likes and the dislikes and what people want or what's the demand. But today, when this data is not accessible and it is owned by these consumers, you really need to have this a much more tailored and personalized approach to this community, which doesn't completely rely on SEOs or digital marketing. It rather relies on developing a direct connection between the brand and the consumer and rewarding your consumers, whether be it in tokens, NFTs, in any incentivized based action that brands can take in order to nurture and retain this community. Digital marketing as well took a hit in some places. I would really say it is impacted as the world of Web3 is so decentralized and secure. It does impact how marketers use and store data. So that's number one: build, nurture, and reward your community. And number two is the user experience. Like, while the tech is amazing, you cannot just bombard people or your consumers with the tech because they simply will not understand it. So you communicate your added value that this product or service is offering, and that should bleed into user-friendly experiences. And to help onboard Web2 people to Web3, or else how can you make these people trust in what you do, understand in what you do, and want to be part of this? And it's also very crucial to take into consideration what means or mediums these companies or brands are using in order to educate people about the tech involved, whether it's immersive technologies like AR and VR, or the underlying technology of Web3, which is blockchain. And this can be done through social media posts, through blogs, podcasts, like exactly like you are doing, AMAs. So I think it's the different mediums that companies and brands use. It really determines how they are positioning themselves and how they're attracting people, which will lead to mainstream adoption in the end. So that's my very humble, very short, I'd say Web3 marketing
in a nutshell,
experience or
101.
Yeah.
Web3 marketing 101. Interesting. So Lara, I mean, you said that you are a self-taught marketer in Web3, and not, I mean, anybody who claims that they know Web3, and I completely agree with you. End of the day, what I feel is, irrespective of, is it Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, Web 6, Web 10, whatever, consumers remain the same. So you have to understand that basic consumer needs, what they understand. Tools might change, platforms might change, but at the end of the day, a consumer remains the same. So you spoke about, you have read, and you do a lot of reading and understanding. What are your top 4 or 5 sources? It could be a YouTube, reading, for understanding Web3 in general as well. Except obviously the best podcast which you ever been to, which is Voice of
The
Crypto.
Voice of Crypto,
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
I mean, after that, that's for sure the number one.
Let's say podcast, it's the Voice of Crypto. Now other platforms, to be honest, I have 2 favorites. I have the A16Z Crypto. It's an amazing YouTube channel, and I think that, and they talk about a lot of learn and earn opportunities in this space. So not only that you're learning more about the space and how to navigate it, you're actually earning or being rewarded for that, which is a very Web3 vibe,
Right.
model. And the other is Whiteboard Crypto. I mean, I love these people. I remember I started watching them. They didn't have a lot of I mean, they had followers, but now they just exploded everywhere. And just because of having that whiteboard and having that visuals all over the place, and really explaining every aspect or every vertical of the Web3 / blockchain / crypto industry. I think it was very beneficial to me. And as well, like I followed a lot of people on Twitter, which is where the whole shenanigans started. And yeah, I think the open sourceness of the information that you can find on the internet really helps people understand more about the Web3 space. So while they are my 2 personal favorites, I can, there are dozens and dozens of what do they call it? Channels or mediums where people can educate themselves about it.
Right. Now coming to a fun question, Lara, how do you explain NFT maybe in just 25 words to a 5-year-old?
25 words.
Yes.
Okay. So NFT, non-fungible token. Non-fungible, don't be scared, Mr. 5-year-old. It's not, it doesn't has to do anything with fungus or mushrooms or no. Non-fungible means one of a kind, unique. So think of the Mona Lisa. Is there any other Mona Lisa in the world? No, there's just one Mona Lisa. It's one of a kind. It's non-fungible. That is what the non-fungible term means in non-fungible tokens. Now, the token is a digital asset. You have this as a real asset, and you can have a digital asset, which is also real. Digital does not mean it's not real. Digital means it's real. Now, it's stored, this unique, one of a kind asset, like this Mona Lisa, but digital, is stored on a blockchain, which is like an open book. It's transparent. Everyone can read the transaction. Everyone can see what's going on. And that's why it's transparent and decentralized. So that is, for me, I think, the explanation of what an NFT is to a 5-year-old. I mean, I'm not really sure if it makes sense, but I mean, yeah.
Eventually, by the time they'll understand, I think this will be a common thing. It will be just as simple as an MP3, or I don't know, maybe a video, something like that. So you'll understand as
True.
well.
And I really think that it's hard for us now to explain to a 5-year-old, but since coding is being taught to 5 and 6-year-old now, imagine in 10 years this shift in information and the shift in how these 5-year-olds consume data and consume I'd say everything digital, everything and anything digital. I think it's going to be born with them. I mean, I have a 2-year-old daughter who navigates her iPad crazy. I mean, she shuts applications and open applications and go to a puzzle game and then go to a YouTube. And I was like, this is so weird to me, because like I was playing outdoors, like just, playing with the grass and the swings, but their generation is so different.
This is their playground.
It is their playground. It is.
And hopefully, I think in next 5 years, they will tell us what does an NFT means, and maybe they'll create NFTs as well. You never know.
Absolutely. They will educate us just as we educate our parents in terms of how to navigate their smartphones or their emails and whatnot. So, which is very exciting. I mean, I can't wait till my daughter educates me more about this space.
You can't wait till your daughter turns 5 and then she will tell you what is an NFT.
Exactly. She's like, no, mother, you're explaining it. This is not how you explain it.
This is your time in 2022 when this was the meaning of NFT. Now the things have changed. True. So hopefully that should happen. Awesome. So great conversations happening with Lara, guys. Those who are listening to this podcast or watching this video, keep watching, because I'm trying to extract as much insights as we can about Web3 and Lara's journey in this industry. So Lara, as we move ahead, what are some of the most common myths which you would like to bust right away, so that people who don't want to listen to this conversation post that they can drop out? But what are the common myths which you have seen in the industry?
I'd say just directly connecting Web3 and crypto. So I always say crypto is one vertical of Web3. There are a lot of Web3 companies out there who do not rely on crypto, where they integrate blockchain in terms of that, ledger, but they also they only use fiat, for example, or they have these on-ramp, off-ramp solutions. So I don't think that like tying Web3 and crypto together is something that is correct to say or to, explain to people. So I always say that when you think of Web3, think of the internet that went from 2D to 3D, that, static 2D internet, that evolution or like the iteration took it to this full-blown 3D internet. And a lot of underlying technologies are there in Web3. Immersive technologies are a very big vertical, and blockchain technology. Now, crypto is the digital currency that you choose to use or not. But crypto or Web3 does not rely on crypto. I would say it relies on blockchain, but that's only me.
Right. Wow, I mean, that's really, really interesting, because a lot of people think crypto is equal to blockchain is equal to Web3. And you rightly said that crypto is just a small part of this whole big ecosystem. However, I would say masses will know about Web3 because of crypto. So crypto could be an entry point, and then they explore the bigger version of it. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And a lot of people should understand that these three terms are not equal. They are different things altogether. Great. So Lara, I mean, you have been into Web3 marketing from last 2 years, and I would say 2 years in Web3 marketing means 10 years in a Web2 marketing. So what are some of your suggestions or qualities which you think every Web3 marketer should have, or if somebody who's listening to this podcast who want to make a career in Web3 as a marketer, what are some of the qualities they should have?
To be honest, just to give a few, I think it's very important to be able to have a plan B and C strategies because of the market volatility, because no one knows where this market is going. And, sometimes, let's talk NFTs, for example. Sometimes you have in your marketing strategy, like an NFT marketing strategy for a drop in Q2, the market crashes. This is not happening anymore. So how will you be able to mitigate this? What tactics would you use, and what strategies? What's your go-to marketing strategy to be able to not have that gap, and especially stick to the roadmap? And if the business model change, your Web3 marketing strategy should change. So it's this flexibility and having these plan Bs and Cs on top of your head in case something happens. This is very important for marketers, Web3 marketers, to be able to adapt as well to this change, and to fully understand the underlying Web3 technology and keep up with the emerging technologies and emerging evolutions, I'd say. That's very important, because you cannot market something that's backed by tech without understanding the tech. Now, you don't have to market the tech, but you have to understand the tech to know what is possible and what's not, and what can you offer to people. So this is very important. I mean, that's self-education as well. What's amazing about Web3 companies is that they offer this to marketers now. I've heard of amazing, companies who offer, education certifications in order to know what blockchain is and how to use that knowledge as a marketer in your marketing strategy. And last but not least, that's a funny one. It's honesty and integrity, because you're not going anywhere. I mean, everything's decentralized, everything's transparent. So you really need to be honest, and you have that integrity that should be part of your ethos, because that's what Web3ers expect, to be honest.
Right. So I mean, Lara, you have spent 2 years here, and where do you see what are the next 5 to 10 years look like in Web3 and metaverse space? I mean, you spoke about Web2 from a static to a dynamic format moving in here. Where are we heading from here in next 10 years? What are your thoughts on this?
To be honest, I think that it's very hard to speculate how the next 5 to 10 years would look like. But I think now that the technology is here, now that we see how the internet went from 2D to 3D, great, amazing. It's offering endless opportunities for the human race, to be honest. Yeah. But we have a lot of issues that we need to address before actually, speculating how that 5 to 10 years would look like. I'd say governance, security, safety, global adoption, all of these factors will actually play a very big role in how this industry will look like in 5 to 10 years. But what I can say is that the world is never going to be the same. Consumers will change the way they view data or react to data or react to one another. This 3D or I'd say the metaverse as a whole, with all its verticals, it's changing, how humans interact with one another. So yeah, I think I'd rather address the current pressing issues rather than speculate what 3 to 5 or 5 to 10 years how this industry will look like.
Understood. So I mean, that you spoke about, you are working on a project which includes AR, VR, and metaverse. Is that I'm still unable to understand, and I don't know. Maybe I'm not a technical guy. What is the fundamental difference between AR and VR? Aren't they same, or because these two words are used commonly interchangeable and a lot of people do? So please explain us what is the difference between AR and VR.
So AR and VR are completely different. Virtual reality is a fully immersive experience, meaning that if I'm sitting here and I put these, my VR hardware headset, I'm fully immersed in another world. I'm not even connected to this world. So if my mother is passing by, I have no idea that she's passing by. If a war started outside of my house, I wouldn't know because it's fully immersive. Whereas AR, I think it's the best of both worlds, because it takes this computer generated or AI generated content, digital content, and it warps it with your real world. It's taking, it's enhancing your real world. It's not taking you out of this world. It's actually enhancing it. So that for me is crucial. I'm an AR gal, as they say. I'm not a VR gal. Although I totally respect and I am in awe of what VR is bringing to this space in terms of education, connectedness, the metaverse itself. But I don't think the future is VR. I think VR would have its own applications and places, but I feel the overall future of immersive technology is going to be mixed realities or enhanced realities, which is powered by AR. And, just like a small fact, AR has been around for more than 50 years. I mean, the first AR application was in 1968. People argue that someone before that actually applied AR technology. But I mean, it's been there for 50 years and it's really bleeding into all industries, education, art, fashion. I'd say like today you have doctors doing operations in, I don't know, in Singapore on someone who's in London. I mean, what's the underlying technology? That's AR, that's not VR. I mean, and that's all like if it was live or not. But I mean, for me, I think that if we want to think about the future, we're going to think about the future that has a mixed reality. And I think the application of immersive technologies is to enhance our lives and not transform them into another world, the digital world. Gaming, absolutely VR, but how much hours are you going to spend in gaming? You're gonna play, you're gonna have so much fun in this immersive world, but then you have to take your VR at some point, VR headset, and just connect to the real world. So yeah, that's my take on.
So maybe VR is a Ready Player One. The moment you get out of your VR headset, you are back to your real life. So there has to be a combination between your real life and the virtual reality which you are living in. In fact, you're right. I mean, I used Oculus, and I mean, I think more on what a lot of companies are currently working on. They are working on the software side of the business. I think the bigger gap is on the hardware, because you cannot wear that hardware more than half an hour. And the moment you put in, you are still delusional. So if there are any good startup ideas, they should start focusing on the hardware side rather than the software side of the business.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And I also say that you need to think about accessibility. I mean, today, how many people know about Web3? I mean, in the world, me and you are privileged to be in the part of the world where Web3 is flourishing. But I mean, for the, I don't know how many billion, who's catering to them? How would you onboard them if they want to dabble into the space? They need like $1,000 hardware. That's not accessible. Whereas in AR, and especially in mobile AR, you don't need anything but your smartphone. And there are over 3 billion AR ready devices in this world. So in terms of accessibility as well, if you want to think about the underprivileged and people who don't have the privilege, to buy $1,000 gadget, I think AR is a faster, it would, I'd say, increase adoption much more than VR at the moment.
Right. And since we're talking about this, Lara, I mean, what is your thoughts? And you spoke about it, very passionate about society and what impact does it make? You spoke about a lot of people who have never heard about Web 2, maybe also leave Web 3. So, but when Web 3 comes in, what do you think would be the impact of Web 3 on the society?
To be honest, and as I was saying before, that this is something very dear to my heart, because I am someone who comes from the unlucky part of the world where we had to work all our lives. We didn't have a choice into what we study, or if we even can continue studying, doing our masters or PhDs. We had to work, we had to provide for our families. And I look at the women, especially in my hometown, underprivileged and unbanked and have zero financial literacy and no access to, financial, or to this financial system. And I think that Web3 would tackle that exactly. Now, maybe not now because, people are greedy and they just want to get the most out of Web3. But if we look at the ecosystem itself, where it's decentralized, it's trustless and permissionless, imagine how many peer-to-peer models that will emerge, one way or another, that would help these people. Imagine the open sourceness of the education that is being, published all around the internet, where today any woman can go on the internet and understand what Web3 is about. A lot of women-led initiatives, which I fully respect, are tailoring a lot of, content, educational content, to help onboard these women into Web3. So I think, yes, I think that Web3 will have a very positive impact on all underprivileged women. I always say, I'm sorry, it's underprivileged women. It's something that's very close to my heart. And I really believe that education is the infrastructure of anything. And educating women about Web3 and helping them being financially literate would actually lead to financial independence, where today you don't have to, as a woman, underprivileged, unbanked, or a refugee, you don't have to rely on government aids or aids from NGOs. You can actually take advantage, but dabble into Web3 and start making your own money, having that even credit history. All of these components are being really changed. And with the help of Web3, I think it's gonna be very attainable.
Right. No, I completely resonate with your thoughts, Lara. And in fact, a lot of women in my home country, India, they don't have access to these things. And I think that's the problem across the world. I really, because now when I'm hearing, I can also correlate with a lot of things. What I feel, education is important. But that's my point to add in, is education in regional languages is also important, because a lot of females won't understand English. That's what I feel. So a layer of education with a localized content or a localized context as well could help, propagate this whole industry, which we are looking, and can help everyone here.
Absolutely. I second that, because I remember I was in a discussion with someone and they were like, how can we make our educational platform better? I was like, localize it. If you want to target the globe, just localize it. So I completely agree with you. And not only localize it, use, I'd say, the slang language and not the official language. Now, I know that there are a lot of technical terms that cannot be localized yet, but just merely explaining these terms.
Technology in that format, which they can understand. Absolutely. Yeah. I think whiteboard crypto I'm also a big fan of whiteboard crypto, and it simplifies things. It gives you that if you're putting a blockchain on a potato, this is how it is happening. And then you can visualize, and that's the kind of format which actually works there. Awesome. Great conversations happening with Lara, guys. Please keep listening, and hopefully by the end of this podcast, we will try to find as many insights and new learnings from here, from Lara. So Lara, now since we're talking about across, the impact of society, what I also feel is there's a huge dearth of good talent in Web3. I think that one is from a skill set wise. And I think more than skill set, it's an attitude of people who are working in Web3. Everybody thinks probably in 6-7 months that they are the master of metaverse. And I've seen a lot of LinkedIn people writing on their profiles, guru or master. So
my favorite one is industry expert, because industry expert, this term can be used when you have like 10 plus experience, like 10 plus years of experience. So how did you become an industry expert?
Today, in fact, you won't believe, I saw somebody's profile. She's I think 25-year-old, and she has written Metaverse Consultant since 2019. And I was still wondering, obviously Metaverse was there, but how can you be a Metaverse expert in just 3 years and you started in 2019? So what are some of your challenges which you face for hiring Web3 talent? And what are some of the things which you help groom people whom you hire in Web3 as well?
That's a nice question. So first of all, I always say that there is no stupid question, and people need to be humble and need to have 2 ears. Like God gave us 2 ears and one tongue to listen more than we speak. So listen, take in this information, educate yourself, as we were saying, and be sure that you're ready to start, advising or engaging with people, because it's unprofessional and unethical to assume roles that you cannot, back up.
Right.
So as this, lady that you were saying, or as a lot of people in the Web3 space. And so, yeah, that and also I always go back to integrity, because today, as startups, especially Web3 startups, their main goal is to acquire funding, because how would they stand on their feet, as they say. So I think that being very transparent in what you do is something that's very, very much valued by investors. And if you are new to the Web3 scene, does not mean that you're new to business. So if I have been in the Web3 scene for 2 years, I'm not searching for validation. I don't care if people think I'm new. I'm new in this space, but I've been, hustling for 10 years in Web2.
Right.
So
everybody's new in Web3. I think that's yeah.
And that's fine. It's not, people should not feel that they need to lie about it, in order to land jobs. You don't have to lie about it. If you're transparent and you say what you know and what you don't know, that would really help the company and yourself, position you in the right place and educate you and offer that help in order to make you ready for Web3. So that's a very important aspect. And to go back to there's no such thing as a stupid question. People really should not feel intimidated to ask for things that they don't know, and ask for help and ask for guidance from maybe people who have been here in the space much more or are more knowledgeable. So, I feel that every person, for himself, and this, rivalry and competition has no place in this space. So yeah, that's just be humble, listen, ask your questions, and have the confidence, because you're not someone new to business. You're just someone new to this space.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. In fact, I think one important fact is you always try to reinvent yourself. This is not just in Web3 plus across life. I wrote a book, and it's a published book in 2018, which was completely against Bitcoin. And I said, and I have written in this book saying that Bitcoin is for criminals and all these things. But in 2021, I actually realized I completely changed and that's okay. I mean, you can change your views because obviously you're also evolving with the markets. So reinventing yourself also becomes important. I think what you rightly said, being humble is one of the most challenging traits to find in Web3 people, because within 6-7 months, and they really think that they have made and they have arrived here. So yeah, I think these are some certain points which you should keep in mind. So moving on to my next question, Lara, is what is a DAO? I mean, from your understanding, what is a DAO, and how practical it is? Not just for the sake of podcast, just to let people understand how practical is it, and what are some good use cases which you have seen in market about DAOs as well.
Well, DAOs, I'm also a very big fan of DAOs. I still think that the future of DAOs is coming in the next couple of years. I mean, now it's just the concept is shaping up, but to explain it I would say, not technical terms.
Yeah.
The decentralized autonomous organization. It's formed by a group of people who decide to abide by certain rules to reach common goals. So this bottom-up entity, I'd say, bottom-up structure, has no central authority. So members of these DAO would vote on initiatives or decisions for that entity altogether. And it's an organization that the rules of these organizations are embedded in smart contracts, and this code governs the DAO. So the operations are publicly available and they're disclosed. So that's what a DAO is for me, and which is fascinating, because imagine like taking out that centralized authority and having a group of, I'd say, like-minded people have a vote and a say on where this organization is going, and how would they reach these common goals. So that for me is what DAOs are. To be completely honest, I haven't seen a lot of successful DAOs, which is fine. It's totally fine, because like no judgment, because everyone is dabbling into this space. And the main issue of DAOs now is governance, and governance is centralized. So it's just finding that balance on how to govern DAOs in a decentralized manner, and just to incorporate that in their operations is a bit, it's a bit hard. So I think the future of DAOs is amazing, but until now I've have selective DAOs that I've seen functioning properly. One of them is my very dear friend Elena from Maison DAO.
Elena. Yes, Elena, I know.
So they have this amazing art collective, and she's been really kicking ass. I'm sorry, but she's been really adamant on getting more artists, digital artists, fashion artists, digital fashion artists into this space, to have this collective effort and also she's really revolutionizing the way people view and interact with fashion. So these are one of the DAOs that I came across that are successful, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, even the applications of DAOs are very big, and they would, I think, also bleed into a lot of industries. So the future for DAOs is going to be amazing.
Future of DAO is wow. Good. It's a good
I like it. The future of DAO is wow. I think I'm gonna steal it and use it.
Please do that. Please do that. No problem. Understood. So, I mean, in fact, you spoke about corporate governance, which could be a very good factor which can come in DAO. And I agree with you, and I also disagree with you to certain points, because running an organization cannot be democratic. I would say it. I mean, if you are going to keep everyone happy, your company won't move forward. But it cannot be somebody who's just running this company because they think. In fact, I was watching this new series on Netflix called FIFA Uncovered last night, and this spoke about that, what was missing from FIFA and why they had lost the charm. So I think DAO, as of now, we are at a very infant stage, but as we move, it has to be a good mix of yin and yang, about democracy and somebody who actually takes the lead and takes certain tough decisions. So probably Elon Musk and a DAO won't fit very well, but I don't know, maybe some other leader in DAO could fit well.
Elon Musk is not fitting anywhere, but at the moment he's there's nothing to fit.
No, he's fitting in Mars. That's why he's going to Mars. That's really fits in. Great, awesome conversations happening, guys, with Lara. And Lara, now too much of serious conversations. So let's move to our next section, which is rapid fire questions. This is in which I will ask you a question. You have to choose one of the options within 2 seconds. No explanation given.
2 seconds.
Yes, within 2 seconds. Right. So are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. NFT or metaverse?
NFT.
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin.
Web3 gaming or traditional gaming?
Web3 gaming.
VR or AR?
AR.
Any celebrity you wish should get into NFT space?
Beyonce.
What does your portfolio looks like?
I don't understand this question.
Okay, I'll come back to it. Is metaverse fun?
Yes,
Are metaverse and Web3 the same thing?
never.
Is Web3 all hype?
No,
Will metaverse replace internet?
no.
Is this the right time for companies to migrate to the metaverse?
Depends.
DeFi a boon or a curse?
Boon, of course.
Great, great. So
I'd love that rapid fire question of, is it the right time for companies to move? It's a very interesting and a very important question, because not every company has the obligation to have a metaverse extension.
right.
I mean, why do you need the metaverse extension? What is it serving you? What added value is it giving to you and to the customers? So I think this, just companies racing to go into the metaverse, just like take a breath and see what others are doing, learn from the mistakes, and just take a rational decision. And the likes of Meta are the biggest, example of this, because Mark Zuckerberg, of course, he wants just to conquer the world. He was like, yeah, Meta, and Meta's like going to the metaverse, blah blah blah, and now they have record losses. So I think that people need to take a breath, and this industry is not going anywhere, and not to be very irrational in their decisions just because there's a hype. So yeah.
Right. I think, yeah, you're correct. A lot of time, a first mover advantage is not an advantage, because people will learn from your mistakes and then they will come. I mean, obviously, Facebook was not the first who got into social networks. So it's not a race that I want to be the first in Web3 and Metaverse. It's all about, do your consumers actually need it, and does your business actually make sense out of it?
And I mean, let Mark Zuckerberg lose all this money. He has a lot of money. Let him lose, and then you learn from him.
Yeah, and then you get into the business. Great, awesome, Lara. So as we come to the end of our podcast, I have two hypothetical questions for you, Lara. Question number one is, if you have a time machine, and if you could go back 10 years in your life, what changes would you make from a professional front? What would you do different?
It's like a personal question, or like what would I do different for humanity?
No, not for humanity.
Yeah. So I think, well, I'll give you a background to this, because when I went to university, I studied computer science, and I was very fond of code. And I think that I always say that code is a language, and it's a digital weapon. I mean, everything relies on code now, everything. So I was really fascinated, but to be honest, it was a very male dominated, I'd say, what do they call it?
I think you should check the tweet which Elon Musk tweeted yesterday. Have you seen that? Which became viral?
I'm trying to avoid Elon Musk, because
you should
he's
see
on my
that.
nerves.
You'll start hating him more. There's a tweet which somebody has tweeted saying Elon, Twitter before Elon and Twitter after Elon, and they were 60-70% females in the first photo, and the next photo there's not even a single female. So I think since you spoke about it, I thought of adding this.
Which is it's so sad, and it's a loss for him, because with diversity comes a lot of power. But yeah, so I was really not comfortable. I had these very misogynistic remarks from men in my classroom. So I decided to shift and not study computer science.
And that was one of the reasons.
Yeah. So I think if I go back, I'd tell them all, to F off, and I'll just, study it. But it's never too late. You never know. Yeah. So I think that is something that I would change if I went 10 years back.
Great. And in the same time machine, now you can go 10 years ahead. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see, what do you think you would be doing in 10 years down the line?
I hopefully wish that I am in a place where I'm spending most of my time giving back to the community. This is my, utmost dream, I'd say.
Maslow's hierarchy's end goal.
Yeah, good. Absolutely.
Good. Great, Lara. Thank you for coming on this podcast. And to all my guests, I I asked them to do a small favor for Voice of Crypto. So Voice of Crypto is as you rightly said, and you're discussing also, it's about diversity. Voice of Crypto is about bringing in your voice. It doesn't matter what you want to talk. Everything is right on Voice of Crypto, and it's not just that I am Voice of Crypto. Everybody's Voice of Crypto. So I would like you to say, I am Voice of Crypto.
I am Voice of Crypto.
Thank you very much on coming on this podcast. And it was really nice talking to you. And I think we should do one separate podcast specifically for understanding and doing certain case studies on DAO. That will be a really interesting podcast, which we should definitely do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun. I mean, I didn't even, feel the time pass. And yeah, thanks a lot. Looking
Great.
forward to all of your episodes.